I don't think that AI is at risk of taking over human expression. And if you want to go and watch a robot dance around on stage, go for it. That's just not personally what I'm into. On a spiritual level, I feel like human beings are all tapped into something that ones and zeros can't really quantify.
Welcome back to Spin Magazine's Lip Service. I'm with the one and the only Jackson Hamm of the Telescreens.
Good to see you, Scott.
Great to see you, my man. You know, it's amazing. You played the other night for our show. That Bitter End place, I had never actually seen a show there until we did ours, and everyone's sitting down. But when you guys played, people are dancing on the tables. I know the other Paul was a little bit like, but you got the place like moving like no one I've ever seen. So it's incredible. I mean, the energy that you brought to that show was so amazing. So thank you so much. And I always talk about my favorite bands in the scene, and you guys are at the very top of the list. And I expect such big things. And I was so grateful that you, it's kind of a funny story. You could probably talk about it. But I was outside saying goodbye to live, and then you gave me like a shout out on stage. I wasn't there. So.
No, I literally go, yo, everyone give it up for Scott Lips for putting this whole thing together. And it's like, where is he? Oh, he's outside.
My girlfriend's sending me texts like, what the fuck? Where are you? And I'm like, well, I'm coming right back. Why? And then I didn't realize that you were calling me out on stage.
It was a funny moment, but I'm happy. I'm happy it happened. Yeah, I wasn't even supposed to play the show, and I'm really happy we did, because we came up playing the Bitter End, as I've told you before. You know, I think we played there like 100 times in a year.
Amazing. Right
out of COVID, Paul Rizzo, who owns the place, gave us Friday, Saturday nights every weekend, and we would just do that. We used that to like show money, kept it in a pot, and used that to record our album 7. So,
amazing.
Yeah.
Well, it's incredible. You did the great version of Psycho Killer, and you brought up like all the members of the New York City community.
For sure.
So you brought up Torture, you brought up the guy from the Nautics and Thesaurus Rex. So is that something you do all the time when you bring up?
100% when we're there. Like I feel like it's kind of a lost art to jam. Nobody in the modern world of rock and roll is like, let's just play music. Let's just like, you know, show up to a place like I don't know. My godfather was a reggae artist. He always tells me stories in the 90s where they would just show up to each other's houses unannounced, and there would just be music going. Yeah. And I don't know. I feel like our generation has no concept of like you know, let's just play music with no place to go, and with great musicians. So whenever I see. That's the great thing about the Bitter End is Paul lets me kind of do what I want. You know, if I want to get people standing up, then that's cool. But with no place to go, when there's great musicians in the room, it's great to have them all up. You know, everyone can contribute, express themselves.
Because I love the fact that you guys even do things like you'll play in the park. You'll do anything to just get in front of the right people and create a buzz.
Totally.
Which you kind of have to do these days because I don't know. You know, we always talk about the music scene in New York. Is it happening? Is it not? There's a scene here, but I mean, I was talking to Hamilton and we were discussing the fact that back in the 2000s, you literally didn't have cell phones. So there's something interesting about that, you know, there's I guess a blessing to the fact that people can record it. We did, the show the other night, everyone puts it online. It's everywhere. It's on YouTube. It's, people are sort of blanketing the market with, but there's also the sense that like when there are cell phones and people are invested in the music, you guys are like, I mean, people are dancing with you on stage.
For sure.
People are fucking into it, right? That was one of the, I saw you at Irving Plaza, but that's a different kind of venue where like you don't feel the audience interaction as much as you do when they're right in front of your face and they're on stage with you.
Totally.
Right.
As if you're a crowd member, definitely, especially at the Bitter End, like when you're right there, it is a different feeling than being in a big room. But I don't know. I mean, we just announced Webster Hall today.
Awesome.
We're playing there September 13th. I'm really excited. We got a great lineup as well that we're going to announce soon after one of our peoples clears their schedule, which is good.
Is it a bunch of bands like from New York?
It's going to be one New York rock and roller who we know and love, and one band from LA who I'm very excited to have.
Amazing.
In our city. And in terms of like the scene, is it happening, is it not happening? For me, it's about like, seemingly every night of the week, somebody's playing. And, I was here like in a different time, like pre-COVID era, nothing was happening. So whether it's like all good, whether it's all great, whether it's all fucking insane, that takes time. People grow, people move and shit happens, life happens, but I think there's definitely some energy stirring in this place. It's a beautiful time to be alive here. Beautiful time to play rock music here, and you know, you've been outside. You get it.
I get
it's
it.
like there's definitely something going on, and it's kind of just a question of how well, you know, at the end of the day, you need to touch the zeitgeist of everybody, not just your local community, and that's what separates like a big band from just a little moment of culture, you know?
Yeah, it's interesting because we covered Gubball this past weekend. It's the first time we ever did something like that. And even like Olivia Rodrigo was sort of touching on rock. She brought up David Byrne.
Sick.
And so I think when you have artists
dude's
like
my
that,
idol.
yeah, I mean, you have artists like that are sort of kind of, their set is going from being like kind of pop or mass pop to like, you know, rock skewed. She's referencing Paramore and a lot of artists like that. I mean, we might be one album away, one artist away.
Exactly.
I mean, I'm holding the flag. You're holding the flag.
I'm trying, man. Yeah.
And again, you gave me an incredible shout out the other night. You talked about passing the torch from generations. And I think we spoke about this last time, Jackson. But if you had to put your money on like one artist in New York City beside yourself, because my money's on definitely you guys too.
Thank you, brother.
But who else would you say is the one artist in New York City, according to you, that you think should make it, is going to make it? I'm putting my money on this artist.
I mean, you had her up. It was, for me, it was Torture.
Yeah.
Torture and the Desert Spiders. I recently have been just so blown away by her acoustic performances at Baker Falls that happen every Tuesday.
She's like your best friend too, or one of them.
We're fucking a little too tight, you know. She fucking blows my lineup. She's texting me probably right now. That's why my but yeah, she's incredible. There's obviously, you know, the Cab Ellis, Sid Simons, The Thing, who you love.
Yeah.
There's great bands, and you know what happens when everyone starts to get big, like us as well, is you start to hit the road. So people are in town less. It's harder to put things together, you know. I was talking to Zane from The Thing the other day. He's in Serbia.
Yeah.
He just got pulled over by the cops and bribed for $500. So like, he's you know, and it's just funny, like, the way it all grows. But, you know, as long as everybody stays friends, as long as everybody stays supporting each other, I think that's, like, the most important thing. We have to, I feel like, as a community, just help each other. Like, that's...
Do you think there's enough of that, or there's not enough of that happening?
No, I think we're on the right track, and it's just a matter of, like, continuing to do so. You know, there's different pockets of people who are gaining success coming out of New York, and for me, it's all about just like putting on a really good show for the people, so everyone can enjoy their lives a little bit more. You know,
without mentioning names of bands, we were talking about certain bands that you vibe with in New York and certain bands that you don't.
Yeah.
You and I got into the other night, and it's just interesting to see who kind of lifts up each other and who helps each other. But we also spoke about, for a moment, the other night, the Turnstile record.
Totally.
And I told you I was going to spend some time listening to it. It's interesting because...
Did you listen?
I did. And
all the way?
Yeah. I mean, I have mixed feelings on it. I feel like...
How many times did you listen to it?
A couple times. I mean, I think you probably have to spend like 7 times listening to that record.
I honestly hated it, and now I love it.
Yeah.
Which is sick.
Well, I mean, one thing you have to, you know, there's no way to not notice the fact that they're probably moving a little bit away from like the traditional hardcore sound.
Exactly, yeah.
Keyboards, right? There's elements, there's certain songs that for me sound like The Police, right?
Totally.
And they're heading into this direction, which is more mass.
Like Stars,
just more mainstream, right?
Yeah.
But after spending some time with it, do you feel like, you know, and you exploring the creativity of that record, do you feel like it's really like they're the band that all the other bands are talking about right now? And
I mean, when they put out the EP, and like even with Never Enough, that whole back outro that they have on that song is so ballsy to put on your lead single.
Yeah.
Of like, we're gonna put 1.5 minutes of like instrumental at the end of our lead single. I think that's so awesome to do in like the modern world where labels are yelling at you to make every song 2.5 minutes, and it's like our lead single is 4 minutes. Go fucking listen to it. It's amazing.
And I think you have to see that band live.
But then they got that like part at the end, that bridge into building into something.
Yeah.
And I was waiting for months to see where that was going to go. And then it built it up in my head like, oh, it's going to be. And then I listened to the album. It went somewhere I didn't want it to go. So I was so upset. And then...
Which direction did it go that you didn't want? The pop direction?
I feel like it went to something that I've heard before, which was their like older hardcore.
Previous record.
And then I was just like, wait, I'm I'm not listening to this right. So I got into the right headspace, re-put it on for like the third time, and now I'm rocking with it.
And I think a lot of fans that are just straight up listening to like, I just want a hardcore record, and they don't want to kind of expand their mind of where they're going.
Yeah.
But you know, even the visuals of the bands are been on point, and the fact that they did
so
like,
good.
yeah,
dude.
they did a documentary where like every song is like,
It's fucking epic.
It's
yeah.
great. So
Yeah.
I think they're doing something really special. And you know what? If that's a gateway drug for people to get into hardcore,
Right.
amazing.
Right.
I had Mannequin Pussy on the show the other day, and another
Yeah,
band who I think is phenomenal. And
They're
again,
really
like
good.
you know, they're making shit like accessible.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
whatever it really takes. But
And
I don't know. Would you classify that as a hardcore record?
The new Turnstile.
Yeah.
It's like it's a hardcore. It's a hardcore record. Like Nevermind is like a post punk guy. I mean,
Right.
I don't know. It's like it's mainstream, but it definitely comes from that place. So
Do you think that rock can like shock people anymore? Do you think we're at a stage where like rock and roll can be shocking?
I mean, for me, it's about songs at the end of the day.
Mhm.
Like, it doesn't matter what genre it gets written, and everything's blending together anyway. So it's like, if people have something to say, people have a song. Like, I mean, I just want, I want to feel like connected to a melody, connected to a set of chords. It could be on an acoustic guitar, or it could be never enough.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter as long as it can whistle it or whatever.
Yeah, I think one of the reasons why I always kind of relate to you all and love you as a band is because you're a real band, right? You get in the room, you pound it out, you play shows. You're not scared of like
For sure.
going on tour or sleeping on I don't know, you probably sleep in 4-star hotels and on the floors. Like, you don't care,
Exactly,
right?
yeah.
And
yeah.
so I was just talking
Thank you to all of the lovely people who
use floors
housed
time.
the telescreens across North America.
Exactly. So yeah, I was just talking to Thesaurus Rex a second ago. Like, it's interesting where music is going. I mentioned that Timbaland signed his first like AI artist
Dude,
yesterday called Tata.
Screw that.
Like, I mean, what do you have thoughts on something like that?
I mean, a lot of thoughts. I don't think that AI is at risk of taking over human expression. And if you want to go and watch a robot dance around on stage, go for it. That's just not personally what I'm into. On a spiritual level, I feel like human beings are all tapped into something that ones and zeros can't really quantify. So, yeah, I've gone pretty deep in like AI. My best friend was very like, he was on like the Chat GPT-1 team, so he was a
Early on.
total legend. And so for me, it's a tool that should help you. Like, if I'm in Pro Tools, I'm like, what's the key command to
The prompt.
stretch this audio to 120 when I'm at 115? Like, instead of like reading a Reddit forum, now I just go to chat.
Right.
What's the command shift? Okay, boom. So that's great, or how long do I cook a boiled egg for if it's this big? Great, but
My girlfriend uses it as a therapist, and I'm always like, I don't think I want to get relationship advice from ChatGPT. It doesn't know me.
I know
so
people
don't
who
know.
do that too.
Yeah.
It's definitely a little weird, right?
They're saying that it's a better therapist than actual
It probably is
therapist.
because they're a really good listener.
Yeah, for sure. Do you ever feel like a pressure to carry the flag for rock and roll in New York City? Do you feel like carry on the legacy? Because obviously there is a pressure of like the bands that are the most happening at the moment, like yourself, to really make it happen in a big way.
I mean, for me, it's like an honor. It's a total freaking, like, I'm just so lucky to be here. I can't believe that Austin and Josiah and Oliver, who were my band members, stuck it out with me, like, and we're here and we're, going on the road again. And we're announcing a tour in the fall. We're going to do North America and Europe. And so I just can't believe that I'm here. And for me, it's like, the fact that we're still here is so important. I have to commit everything I have to it. It's not a question of like fear or pressure. It's like, yeah, it's so rare, man. It really is rare, and that people come. I still can't believe it that people come, and I want to give it everything I have just to make people's lives a little better. Like, I feel like it's my purpose on Earth. And,
yeah. When you were touring with a band like Franz Ferdinand, what was that like for you?
I mean,
another legendary band.
Yeah, man. I get goosebumps thinking about it. Like, Alex Kapranos is such a incredible performer. He would spend, I hope he doesn't mind me saying, like 3 hours doing yoga and vocal warm-ups before every show. No drinking, no smoking, completely locked hella in. Like,
I don't think Franz Ferdinand in yoga, but maybe.
Dude, he was. I mean, I think he's 51. He is like jumping, moving, twisting, turning. Everything it feels like staged, but it isn't. It's different every night. He knows exactly what he's doing. He knows how to ride a crowd, and it was a real lesson in crowd work. And for me, that's something I've been thinking about a lot. Like, I saw the Hives. We were there together.
Yeah.
Pele is an incredible frontman in terms of crowd work. So
one of the best live shows I've ever seen in my life.
Totally, and it just introduces you to, okay, well, there's music, but there's also this other fourth wall that we could break, because I'm actually here with you right now. You're not watching TV and I'm on the TV. Like, I can jump into the crowd and slap you in the face if I wanted to. But it's like, and you could jump up on stage and whatever. So it just this immersion that happens at a live show. It's like I was at a comedy show last night. So it's the same thing. Like, you could just heckle and like you're part of it, or whatever energy you contribute affects the environment. Like, that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
So,
any great stories from that tour? Like, I love funny stories of like bands on the road, especially like, in the early days and what happens and all this shit.
There was, I mean, there was a few. I'm trying to think. We were in Salt Lake City, and we had to get to Denver, and there was a massive storm. And all the roads were closed, and of course, like, they have a tour bus, and after every show they get on the tour bus. And
how are you traveling?
We're in a van, so we sleep like wherever we can. Wake up early in the morning, and then drive to the show. Get out, do sound check, and then play the show.
Sleep in the van sometimes.
Sometimes sleep in the vans. Half of us will do this, half of this, but we'll split up sometimes. But we had to get to Denver, and we were in Salt Lake, and there was a crazy snowstorm, like blizzard. Like, we're driving like 20 miles an hour. So we, I guess the 80 is closed, and we route maps, and it sends us up this like sketchy ass road. We're up on this road in our like van. Van's not great at turning, and it's like, I'm freaking out in the back. I'm texting. I'm like, yo, guys, like, I'm trying to be chill and shit, but this is not safe. Yeah. So we get up. We're like going up this mountain, and some farmer guy basically built a massive wall and put a sign up saying like, danger, don't go. We almost missed this shit. We were almost like, all right, fuck it. But yeah, we had to then like drive back around. But it was like a super near-death experience for, I guess, all the boys. Like, get stuck in a blizzard. We ended up at a gas station trying to figure out where to go. Some rootin' tootin' cowboy walks in. He goes, yeah, I fly helicopters. What do you guys do? We're like, we're in a fucking rock band. He's like, okay, well, where you going? We're like, Denver. He's like, take this road. We're like, yeah, you sure? He's like, yeah. Like, I'm about to jump in a helicopter. I know. So like,
and that was it.
The godsend of this guy told us which road to take, and we trusted him and made it to the show.
It's those stories though that make it all worthwhile. I mean, they're crazy. I mean,
no, it was epic.
It was epic. I mean, there are, one of the guys in Metallica years ago died in like a tour bus because it was some inclement weather. But yeah, it's crazy the shit that you got to go through when you're on the road, and people don't realize all that stuff. You're a big film guy. I feel like there's a theatrical thing to like the telescreens and the elements of what you're all about. Do you have like a top 5 films that really inspire you, or you think are the greatest films of like all time? We could start with number 5 and go backwards.
I don't know if my order will be right, but I think number 1 for me right now, I'm rewatching, is Taxi Driver.
Great film.
I'm a real Scorsese fan, and like obviously that's like a very well-known piece of his, but it's
one of the greatest movies ever.
It's just obsessing me. So
are you watching it like 15 times in a row or something?
I've seen it like 100 times, and I'm still watching it. Like I'm watching it still. Like, holy crap! There's that scene in that movie where Travis is like looking at or Travis is calling the girl, and he's like, after he takes her to the dirty movie, he's like, can I take you on another date, like, please? And she's like, no, like, and it's just the most pathetic scene ever of like him trying to get on a second date with this girl after he totally ruins it. And then Scorsese just hits the track away. He pans away from him. It's just this long hallway of nothing.
Incredible.
And it's just, it's a lonely ass shot. It always gives me the chills.
Yeah.
So
That might be your number one.
I think that's my number one. I love I love Fight Club.
Another great film.
Yeah.
What is it about that movie that you really connect with?
I mean, like, in terms of like a leading male role, like Brad Pitt is actually like, for me, incredible. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, he's been in some incredible films, and that for me is like his most like quintessential role when I think about him. But yeah, that movie just like, I guess it also introduced me to the Pixies, which is, as a young kid, that was an incredible thing. Thank God.
Definitely.
Found them. That changed my life. Yeah, I mean,
We got 3 more.
let's think.
3 more movies that inspire Jackson,
I would say,
or that you're rewatching 100 times.
yeah, the rewatch factor is what it is for me. I would say, I really like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Great movie.
Yeah, I know it's like
But newer.
in terms of Tarantino, it's newer.
Yeah.
I'm
such a great director,
I'm
though.
excited for what he does next. But
Yeah.
like that movie, for some reason, I just find myself coming back to, and always finding a new thing. Like, whoa. I mean, there's that. It's always about some weird shot for me. I don't know fucking why, but it's like the way that a shot can tell a story. But there's that shot where, you know, Leo's sitting in a pool and it just like zooms out over the house and like to another house, one shot, and then like into the house. And I'm like, how the fuck did they do that? Like,
It's Tarantino.
yeah,
He just figures it out.
incredible.
And he has incredible DPs.
Incredible stuff, yeah. So that always like blows my mind. I love that story. I love the Manson murders, all that.
Yeah.
You know. So
Great history.
yeah, I'm totally into those conspiracies of why and how all that stuff happened and that, you know, time period, LA vibe, really cool. Let me think. Maybe 2 more.
It could be more Scorsese. It could be more Tarantino. You know,
I'm trying to think.
some of the greats. More Pacino. More De Niro.
Yeah. I guess Raging Bull.
Yeah, another great film.
I would have to put in there. That film haunts me. Yeah, that
Incredible performances.
yeah, De Niro's like crazy in that, and the scene where he's like headbutting the wall in the cell drives me a little up the wall. And then I'll say, I'm just gonna throw in Control. It's a film about Ian Curtis.
Yeah, great film.
Yeah.
Underrated, by the way.
Underrated, like
A lot of people don't know about
kind
it.
of a lost film. But
Joy Division.
I'm very obsessed with Ian Curtis. I think it's incredible that he made the body of music that he did. I think he died at 22 and he hung himself and he had epilepsy, and that you know, the juxtaposition between, I mean, I want to be a frontman hopefully for the rest of my life, and I can't imagine having a condition that every time I did what I love to do most, it made me suffer. You know, imagine lights flashing in your eyes and you get seizures. So that movie always haunts me.
That film's an underrated gem.
It is.
And more people need to know about that
for
film.
sure.
So
Yeah.
That's a good call.
Yeah.
Jackson, this is a pleasure. We got to do this again, man. You've been on 2 times in the last year, so this is becoming like a regular thing.
Let's keep
You're
going,
gonna be my
man.
co-host
It's
next.
Great talking to you.
You too, my man. Appreciate it.
All right.
Thanks, bro. Welcome back to Spin Magazine's Lip Service. I'm with the members of Thesaurus Rex, Calvin and Varun. How are you guys?
Good. We're great. Thanks so much for having us, man.
Thanks so much for playing the show the other night. So many people came up to me and they're like, this band is great. And Jackson from the Telescreens, who's going to be here in a bit, mentioned it's about passing the torch in music from, like, I guess I'm the older generation to the younger generation and propping up a lot of the younger bands. And you guys are definitely one of them. I loved your music. It's sort of a combination of like Weezer meets another band, but it's really intelligent. I think you must spend a lot of time with the Thesaurus.
Yeah.
Because it's very lyrical.
Yeah.
Tell me how the band came about. How did you meet each other? How did you start?
Yeah, well, we've been around for, I guess, like, I started going under the name Thesaurus Rex about 4 years ago. I did like a solo project under my own name for, like, you know, during college and stuff like that.
It was Calvin Rezen.
Calvin Rezen, that was me. I was like, I was out there, I was walking the beat. No, it was a lot of like, you know, kind of figuring it out. And I also felt like I didn't really have like a curation of sound yet. It was kind of just like, these are the songs I write. I write a little bit of everything and I'm just like figuring it out. But I was like an acoustic guitar guy. And then I was like, I feel like I should be in a band. And it was like COVID, we were coming out of COVID, it was 2021. And I was like, I want to start something. So I actually started it with 2 other friends, Fiona and Cashel, and we were like going to just be a 3-piece. and now they're not in the band, and we've got a whole different group because it's just how it goes. So Varun and I actually met at college, at grad school, at Berkeley, NYC.
I mean, you could tell there's a Berkeley element to what you're doing because it's so heady, the music, right?
Yeah,
and
we're some
Dumpster Fire, like literally we made that. It's like the soundtrack to one of our photo dumps on Lip Service today or yesterday. It's funny because when were you fans of bands? I mentioned Weezer, but were those bands that were on your radar that you were like?
Weezer is like a huge influence.
Yeah,
for
and
me
there's
when I
no
was
way
young.
you can't not be influenced by it.
Well, that's also just like, I don't know, something about like whatever suburban indie rock.
Yeah.
Like that's just like
who are the other
sound.
bands that you were influenced by?
I really love like the Mountain Goats. We're kind of an interesting band though because we all really have, each of us has got really different influences.
Yeah, it's completely different. Like we did a video the other day and we were trying to figure out, and it's like it's weird how they intersect. I would say it's like all mutations of the Beatles are kind of our influences.
Yeah. Well,
right?
it's like, we always come back to the Beatles, even though it's like whatever the Beatles, but it's like really all of the bands that we like were all influenced by the Beatles. So, okay, that's kind of where we all meet in the middle. But like, I mean, I feel like you're into like a lot of like more experimental stuff.
Yeah,
I mean,
like psych rock, jam band stuff.
Yeah,
But
Grateful
it's cool
Dead.
how like we all have intersections that are completely different. Like you can make like a 4-way Venn diagram and find like weird, because like Dan and I have like the Tame Impala thing in common, and you and Dan have a lot of
like emo stuff, Flaming
emo
Lips.
stuff.
Yeah, I was really into like, I mean, lyrically, I'm really into like the Mountain Goats, and we were both really into Andy Schaaf, who's like an incredible storyteller, and Courtney Barnett, and yeah, just like kind of great songwriting and like exciting stuff. I grew up in Jersey, so like Bruce Springsteen's obviously like a huge, like, I mean, Blinded by the Light is like, it's like the number one opus of the entire world. It's like watching someone, like from a lyrical perspective, it's like watching someone do 40 backflips in a row or something.
Yeah, I'm going to turn you on to a band. If you love the Beatles, I'm a bit redundant at this point because everyone is so sick of me talking about them, but they're called Jellyfish.
Jellyfish.
And Jellyfish, if you haven't heard them, do you know Jellyfish?
No, I don't.
They were like the greatest combination of like the Beatles, Queen, Cheap Trick, all these things rolled into one, but a heavy Beatles influence and power pop at its finest. They came out in the 90s, so it was a little bit of a tough time because like they're sandwiched somewhere between like Nirvana and Soundgarden.
Yeah.
And they just were like out of place. They had this psych look where they all wore like paisley and stuff like that. And, but like everyone that comes on the show that's a fan of the band, I end up geeking out and talking about Jellyfish for 20 minutes longer than I should. But just going back to roots, it's a band that I highly recommend. People sometimes always reference it that I talk about them all the time. But if you're a Beatles fan, there's no way that you won't be in this band. So check them out. But it's funny when I listen to your lyrics. I mean, music is kind of heading in such a weird direction now. I don't know how much you follow like the AI stuff. Timbaland just signed his first like AI artist. Like I think yesterday I saw an article about it.
He just literally. We were talking about that 5
we were like
seconds.
dooming for the last hour about AI.
Do you think that like AI could write a Thesaurus Rex song? Because it's really heady lyrical stuff.
I'm gonna eat my words, but not yet. It's really the
Not
thing.
yet.
I don't know.
I mean, I think Thesaurus Rex is like, it's a live act as much as it is like the songs and the recorded stuff. And so unless you want to see a bunch of robots do what we're doing on stage, I think it's going to be hard to kind of get the full experience. Like maybe you can get some lyrics out of it in the next few years once AI.
You could probably get some good lyrics, but you probably can't get the raw sex appeal that we bring on stage.
True.
Yeah, that is true.
And the
it is a
mistakes.
sexy show.
Yeah, super sexy show. But I mean, so I write, my day job is I'm like a composer for jingles, and there's a lot of like discussion in that world about AI with lyrics and everything. I've like fucked around with trying to like see if I can curse, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
This is not PPS.
Yeah, so I was fucking bullshit. This whatever. No, I fucked around with trying to get like AI like ChatGPT to like write like even like a stanza, and it doesn't. So far, it just doesn't really understand like flow or meter or something like that. Like it gets like what a rhyme is, but a song is just so much more than like a series of things that rhyme together. It's like really like it's a there's like a kind of. There's like a setup and punchline, and there's like a rhythm by which like there's kind of a rollout of information. And so I feel like sometimes it's just like it's easier to just write it than it is to come up with the perfect prompt to make it write it for you,
Because your lyrics reference everything literally from mythology to Marxism, right? So do you write your songs? Are they like disguised as like songs? Like essays disguised as songs, or?
I mean, we're pretty politically active. I mean, we're like really inspired by politics and really inspired. I think it's more of like not feeling like I want to edit out any parts of like who I am in my stuff. I say this a lot, but it's like I think that there's a lot of writing that people learn to write in a kind of emotional way. And sometimes learning that songwriting has to be emotional means turning off like the kind of like real world kind of practical tactile artifice parts of what you think is like interesting, right? Because we're like, it's not about this political thing. It's not about like whatever car infrastructure or whatever we want to talk about. It's about like just like a solid, simple moment in a relationship. And you're like, well, it's kind of about all of those things. It's like it's all included in the kind of grander artistic, thing, So I don't feel like when I write a song about like somebody having like a dream sequence after getting in a car crash or whatever, like I don't think that is it's less personal or emotional. It's just it's a story, It's like that's I think people also get very like turned off or sometimes like scared of writing like story songs that are not like directly from a personal perspective. But like every movie that you've ever seen is a story about someone else's life. And
sometimes people, it's too vulnerable and it's too personal to put out there in the world, but obviously you don't mind doing that.
Oh, dude. Yeah, I love...
Bring it on.
Yeah, I just think it's like there's so many layers that you have access to as an artist, and like you should it's so fun to get to touch them all. Like, we're like a maximalist band, truly. And I think that's musically really like why I've ended up jiving with Varun and Ethan and Dan is because like I write songs that are like it's a big fucking meal of a tune, and I'm just like add more. There's so much here. I'll already add more. So
because when people come to see you, it's sort of like one part like punk rock, one part heady, one part poetry slam, one part stand up, right? Like, what do you see that as like all these things like mixed into one? Because there's bits of all these cool like elements mixed in.
Well, I mean, we love doing like weird shit on stage. I mean, I come from a theater background.
Yeah, you do. Okay.
And I think that like that's actually like as far as like the scene in New York. I mean, I know Torture is like very theatrical, and like I mean, I think Jackson from Telescreens was maybe an actor or something like that. And there's like Cab Ellis, he's super theatrical. Our friends Boys Go to Jupiter are like theater people. Like there's like I think theater has gone in an interesting direction, and it's made like it's left kind of a lot of like orphaned children, but who have found like the kind of reconnection to like a raw live performance in like a rock band kind of scenario.
I had so many people that came up to me that night after your show and wanted to know more about the band. But lyrically, do people come up to you and say, those lyrics really connected with me, or that was like the weirdest song I've ever heard? It didn't like. Where does that fall on the spectrum of those things?
We kind of get everything. Yeah. I mean, do you get any stuff about it?
Well, people really like the lyrics. It's obviously super catchy. People are weirded out by a lot of it, which is actually something I think we're trying to go for and lean into a lot more.
I feel like there was a song that you sang the other night, unless I'm mistaken. This song is about getting you laid or something.
Oh yeah, The Way You Look at Me.
Right. What was that song about?
So The Way You Look at Me. Actually, it's funny. We're releasing this album in a couple of days on June 13th. Friday.
Timing's great.
Yeah, it's been great. So we recorded. That was like the first song I recorded for the band, and I actually recorded it under my own name, and then I was like, screw it, I'm just gonna like put it out under this new thing called Thesaurus Rex. But the version that's been out for the last couple of years, like I'm now like, oh my god, I know so much more about like recording than I used to. Yeah, the kick is too loud, like whatever. Like we just like we're all like engineers and producers and stuff like that. And you just learn and you grow, and like so I don't want to do like a retroactive George Lucas, like add a new CGI Jabba the Hutt. But we recorded a whole new version of it that's like got all of us playing on it. This is also before Varun and Ethan and everyone were in the band. But yeah, it's about meeting a girl at a party and kicking it off and doing the thing. But it goes through all of the kind of, it's not just like as simple as like you see somebody across the room and now you're dating or screwing or whatever. It's like all of the awkward tiny interactions that happen like in real time across that, where you're like, oh, I wasn't sure, you seemed kind of single, I don't know, you were like there with people, I wasn't really even supposed to be there, I just was there with some friends of friends, and it was random that I was there, and it's random that I ran into you, and wow, we're going home, that's great.
I was sitting with my family when you announced that song. I was like, close your ears please, because this is not directed towards you.
Sorry.
Walk me through the economics of being an an independent artist now, and like what that means. A lot of times we break down the sort of the financial aspect of like, what does it mean to be an independent artist? How much do you make when you play a club? How much do you make from streaming? How much do you make when you tour? Do you have to have day jobs? Like, what does it mean? Because it's so hard right now to make it in music. So talk to me about what that means for all of you.
Yeah. I think all of us have full-time jobs.
What do you do?
Outside
what are
of
those
this.
jobs?
Like Dan and I are engineers and producers at studios. Calvin writes jingles. Ethan is like a freelance musician, plays in every band possible and plays every instrument in every band possible.
Seriously, yeah.
And so like it's crazy to have a full-time job to pay the bills, and then this being the second full-time job. Like once you come home, and we don't make great money off of the band yet. It's like it's a lost game to begin with.
Yeah.
And you just like you save up whatever you can, throw it back into the business. And
it's cool that we all work in music so that it feels like part of the gig to be able to do our day jobs like that. And I'm really grateful. Before this, I was like working like at a restaurant, right? And it was like, okay, cool. I get to like write music for a living. But we always joke that we are like, most bands, their problem is like money they're running into, or it's really space like to record
studio
and stuff.
Time, yeah.
Like we have like more access to studio time than like any band I know, but we have no access to like time. Like our actors, he works like overnights, like really long things. Dan works like whole 12-hour days. I work 9 to 5, like all thing, and then there's whatever, just ton. And we all like are like on opposite schedules, so it's like getting the 4 of us into the same room to like really have a cohesive vision of the thing is like, that's really the kind of economic problem. It's like, you're just like, I need to pay rent, so I cannot be there. I'm sorry. You know?
And it doesn't necessarily mean these days that bands even need to search for record deals because it's so different now, right? You can start out, you can create your own destiny, you can choose your own path if you have enough traction. But do you look for a major label deal, or do you feel like we're just going to do this independently until like the right people here and the right team is there and whatever it may be?
I think it gives independent artists a lot more leverage in a lot of ways, because we do know people who like kind of figure it out, or you do really like more like probably something like a hybrid, where you have like a single record deal, and like it's not like you have like this ride or die relationship with a label that you are with them for 10 records or something like that. But I mean, we're very open to that at this point, but we're kind of like, I mean, we had a lot of fun making the last record. We've got like kind of bouncing off the walls right now with ideas for the new record. We're like, oh my God, let's do it. We can do it again. We can do it more efficiently. We can do it better. We just know like how to do it. And even though we get to we are like really fortunate that we get to record in like the places where we work and like sneaking in at night to do it. Like I'm like the hugest proponent of just like most people have access to technology that the Beatles or anyone from like 50 years ago would have ever been able to imagine, like in your pocket. Like just make the voice memo. I think everyone should just make a voice memos album. Like
it's so fascinating because years ago you needed a record deal. Yeah. And now it's sort of like if you get one, you get one. But the labels really, they don't really want to sign things unless it has a ton of traction, 1 billion streams, 1 billion views on TikTok. So does that make you feel sometimes that it's like unobtainable and you're just going to do your own thing? Or do you still feel like you said, like a hybrid thing ultimately might be what you'd be looking for?
I think a hybrid, I mean, I don't know.
I think once you have like the 1 billion streams, you don't really need the label anymore.
Right.
Like the money's coming in. And I think what's been really cool about New York is like the whole DIY element of it. Like we made a music video for a song, I Won't Hold My Breath, with like these NYU film students, the Stooges.
Yeah, they're cool.
And it's like high quality video. It's what a label budget would have gotten us for way cheaper, just doing it with friends. And so I think this DIY element of like us having our own studios to work at and like really talented friends to make videos with kind of like nullifies the label could get us on playlists, or like get us nice stores booked. Yeah. Which I think that's really helpful and worth getting a deal for.
Our biggest thing is we love to play. And I was really like, whatever, we record music now, but I used to always think of like writing music, like the measure of whether a song was done was like, if I was at a place and someone gave me a guitar, could I just like rip this one really quick? Yeah. And like, I feel very much like it's like, we just like, our biggest obstacle now is like we want to get out on the road. We want to do some stuff. Or like, we want to play. Like, I mean, we
want to go on the road. Yeah.
We played like 26 shows or something like that in New York, just in the city last year. And it was like the best because we just love to like get in front of an audience. Like we're like live people. We love to do that. But it's also like, okay, now we have to like, we're playing strategically where it's like we do one show every couple of months because each time we want the audience to be like, this is the event, this is the party of the season, we like want it to be a thing. So that's a big part of it is just like trying to like be strategic about each individual choice you make kind of.
Yeah, there is this camaraderie I do find because we have a lot of bands from New York on the show, and I feel like I want to be one of the proponents of like holding the flag for music and rock and roll in New York. So, do you feel like, and I've asked this question to some of the other band members in New York City, but do you have a top 5 New York City bands right now that you love? And we'll start with number 5.
Oh God,
I don't know who wants to take this first.
Can we do it in no particular order?
Well, you can.
Okay,
but
we'll
it's
do
always
5.
you know people are gonna kind of rank them regardless.
This is the 5th best band as far as I'm just kidding. I'll do. Okay, so we should say. Well, Dallas Wax. They're like Wax. Some affiliates of ours, and they're like an incredible band.
Shredders, and tell me why all these bands are.
They're like just like they like literally are like right out of like the 70s. They're like such a genuine like they're great live rock band. They're like there's like 4 or 5. There's like 7 of them. I feel like they're like a family band or something. And we went to Philly with them. Like we played, and they played with us at Brooklyn-bred. And we're like, they're just like blow the roof off the place kind of things.
Insane guitarists.
Is it a family?
No.
Okay.
I mean, aren't we all a family really at the end of the day?
In a way. Yeah. Okay, so they're number 5. I don't know them, but I have to check them out.
Oh, dude, they're great.
They are one of the numbers.
They're in there.
I'll go Boys Go to Jupiter. Boys Go to Jupiter is like our best friend band, and
I was going to save them for number 1 because they're our besties.
That's no particular order.
Okay. Well, we're gonna have to put someone in number 1, so I don't know if that's Boys Go to Jupiter. But.
Just like really unique sound, really fun live show experience, like 10-piece band sometimes. Yeah, and just dropping killer albums, one after the other. And you want to tell them about the Truce?
Well, yeah. Well, so we have a thing with Boys Go to Jupiter because they're our official. They're like our sister band officially, and so whenever they play a show in New York. We are allowed, we're really obliged. Legally. We got a notary to notarize this. We have to go up on stage and shake our ass and shake a tambourine during one of their songs.
I'm coming to this next show.
Yeah. Them for us too. We got to do it at Williamsburg Music Hall. It was great. We awesome. Went up and we were like, fuck yeah.
We had like a guitar battle. We're always trying to play together.
Now I'm coming to the next show of that band.
Totally. And then I would say Nautics absolutely rips. Kenzo's like got like the most beautiful fucking voice in the whole world. I love this stuff.
I listened to Nautics today because I know those guys a little bit from just being out, and our buddy Lucas, and they came to the show. They came on stage.
Yeah, dude.
But I never heard them, so I wanted to listen. This morning I listened to them.
Well, they're also I have so much respect for them because they're like a real New York band. Like I mean, they're city kids, and like they've been together for like 10 years or something like that. Which is like I'm just like yes, like fucking toe the line.
They're getting some traction.
Keep New York City alive. You know, that's cool. Torture and the Desert Spiders.
Who played the show the other night.
Killer.
Torture, Torture also just like is such a bastion of the community. I mean, like there's no one I know who's like just like
friends with everyone.
Just like totally uplifting the scene. Like that's like incredible. They're like great. And then I guess for me, like Cab Ellis. I mean, he was on the show.
He was on the show.
He's dude. They're
insane.
Well, Greg, their saxophone player, played in this record that we've got coming out.
Awesome.
For a couple songs. Actually, he plays that Sucksy song, "The Way You Look at Me." On the record, it starts out with what we describe as like
brain rot.
Yeah, jazz. Tasteless free jazz. We were like, you were like, you're such a good saxophone player. Play the most tasteless thing you've ever played. So that's like we just let him go, and he's great. And Cab is like, I mean, that live show is.
I like those guys.
I caught
a lot of energy.
Yeah, I caught the flu at that show, and that's kind of
it was worth it.
Oh, like I wouldn't have wanted to catch the flu any other way. Well, there's maybe one other way I want to catch the flu. But,
And also Ryan Gentles manages them, who managed the Strokes years ago, so they've got a good team around them too. So we'll put Cab Ellis as number 1. How about that?
Yeah, dude, I'm down. I'd love them. Seriously, they're like one of the most fun I ever had at a show in New York.
Awesome.
So yeah.
Well, thanks so much for playing the show. Thanks so much for coming on. We'll have to do this again soon,
dude. Yeah, thank you so much for having us.
Awesome.
Thanks for what you're doing for the scene.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.